Hey, this is Craig Garber, and on today's episode of Everyone Loves Guitar, you ever meet one of these people that's kind of soft-spoken, but once you get to know them, you see they have the heart of a lion and the energy of 10 people? Well, that's my guest today. Her name is EG Kight, and she's going to share with us how she beat death not once, but twice. And she's got an incredible story. She's a blues artist out of very rural Dublin, Georgia, and she's awesome. So stay tuned. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in a moment. Hey, everybody. This is Craig Garber. Welcome to Everyone Loves Guitar. I've got an awesome guest, a great blues artist with us today with the lovely EG Kight out of Georgia. Quick thank you to our mutual friend, Bill Hines, for the introduction. Thanks very much, Bill. Bill's a phenomenal guitar player. He was on the show a while back. You want to hear a good show, listen to his as well. So, cliff notes on EG. She's a singer, songwriter, guitarist, and blues artist originally from and still living in Dublin, Georgia, on land that has been in her family for 4 generations, which I think is really cool. I think is rare also. She's toured the world, had a number of her songs covered by other artists, and she's licensed her songs on TV and movies. Before getting into blues, she was a country artist who performed regularly on Nashville Now. That was a really popular TV show. She's also the author of a children's book called Things I've Learned from a Goat, based on her own experience raising and caring for goats, and we'll talk about that. She's released 10 studio albums since 1997, including her most recent album, which is called Sticks and Strings, which debuted in the top 10 on Billboards and is still doing really well on Billboard regular charts and on the blues charts. EG, thanks so much for your time. I appreciate you coming on the show.
Oh, I'm proud to be here.
All righty. So you grew up on gospel and country music, and if what I read is correct, you got turned on to the blues after you heard Koko Taylor. I was curious how you first heard Koko, and what was it about the blues, particularly Chicago blues, that sort of hooked you?
Well, I was playing a wedding reception in Warner Robins, Georgia one night, and a waitress, and I wish to my goodness I knew who she was, came up to me and said, "You need to listen to Koko Taylor," because at that time I was doing more country. And I said, well, Mama was with me. I said, write that name down, and she put it in her pocketbook, Cocoa.
That's cute.
So I went to our local record shop, and I said, I'm looking for something from Koko Taylor, whoever that is. And well, I got a cassette tape, and I was going down Interstate 16, going to a gig in Macon, and put that on and just started smiling. And I thought, who is this woman? She is feeling it from her toes to her head. And then the more I listened to it, I thought, I've got to learn some of this stuff. This is wonderful. It just made me feel good. So I started incorporating it in my country act. And when I would do one of her songs, I would put on sunglasses. Well, it got to the point that even if I was with some hardcore country fans, they'd say, put on them sunglasses, girl. So, and at the same time, I was doing Nashville Now sometimes, and with Ralph Emery, and the producer came to me and he said, EG, I'm trying to help you. And he said, you need to quit flirting with them blues. Well, when I got to a certain point and I was enjoying it so much, I just jumped right in the middle of it. And little did I know that later on that I would become friends with Koko Taylor. She was my mentor for sure. She was my blues mama. And that she would record some of my songs and do a duet with me on one of my albums.
What a beautiful thing.
It is beautiful.
Yeah. So how do you look at, like, so this woman comes into your life and exits just as quickly, and the producer, how do you look at those things? Are they like serendipity? Is that a God thing for you? Is it like, because, I'm always fascinated by these stories and, my own life, things that just happen with no reason.
Well, it has to be a God thing. I think, I always pray for guidance, and it probably had to be a God thing.
Yeah.
Amazing and it was just so cool to be close to her. And I could always call her. And she was so funny. One time she was recording one of my songs in the studio. And I was driving through Atlanta. I had been held up in traffic for I don't know how long, just sitting there. All of a sudden, it just started going like that. And more, I was going with them because I was ready to get out. And she calls me on the phone. I thought, I don't need to talk on the phone right now, going this fast through Atlanta. And she said, EG, I'm in the studio recording this song. And she starts singing it to me. And she said, does this sound all right?
Oh my God.
I said, Koko, do you understand that you could sing My Dog Has Fleas and I would love it?
Yeah. I like that. How did you wind up meeting her?
Well, back years ago, I had a real active fan club based out of Tulsa, Oklahoma, where I did a lot of singing. And it went out internationally and all over the United States. And I finally met her at a little club in Chattanooga, Tennessee. I had come off the road and I was extremely tired. And one of my best friends in Chattanooga called me. I just got home and she said, can you be in Chattanooga on Monday night? I said, no, I'm exhausted and I just have to rest a little bit. She said, what if I told you Koko Taylor was going to be at a little club here in Chattanooga on Monday night? I said, what time will she be there? I got there an hour early and sat by the door.
Good for you.
And sat on the front row there. And when it was all over, I begged and pleaded with the club owner. I said, please let me meet her. Please let me meet her. So he finally did. And I didn't know I'd ever get to talk to her again. So I told her everything I ever wanted her to know in that conversation. And she's looking at me like, who's this crazy woman? But it wasn't but a few weeks past that I got a call. We got a call from her bus driver or her daughter, I can't remember, Koko wanting to talk to me again. And she was putting on a show in Nashville. So I carried my happy butt up to Nashville. And she and I got on her bus with nobody else on it. And she gave me great advice. And we became friends and was friends till the day she passed.
Wow. What a beautiful story. That's really cool. I'm so glad you got to experience that. That is awesome. Was it kind of like surreal that you're sitting in a bus talking to Koko Taylor?
Yeah. And, I had on a white coat and it was hot. It was in probably July, August, and she was sweating and I had been sweating and she had a lot of makeup on. She just put on this show and she had she always just killed it, She was sweating and she gave me a big old hug. And I had her makeup all over this jacket and I just treasured that jacket, Yeah.
Oh,
it was great.
Really cool. That's so nice. I read that thank you for sharing that story. That was really cool. I read that you were a professional musician already in your teens.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
I guess if you call getting paid at gigs professional, I guess it would be.
Hmm.
Yeah, when I was a teenager, I played a lot of things like Lions clubs, Civitan clubs, Little Mr. Miss Dublin pageants, and all this kind of stuff. I was a teenager. I had to, wait till I could drive to go, go back and forth to places. But yeah, I started making money performing when I was in the, 9th, 10th grade probably.
How did that happen?
Well, I always played, and I live way out in the country, but my neighbors would come every night to my living room, and I would rehearse. I had a guitar amplifier, and I would hook a microphone in it, and I had a guitar, and I put on a concert every night. That's where I got a lot of experience playing to learn songs, and some of my relatives knew what I was doing and heard me doing that from time to time, and recommended that I play for one of the pageants in my hometown. And from that point on, everybody started calling me, want me to do this, want me to do that. So I started early. I've been doing this just about all my life.
That's amazing. And it was early on. Was it like hardcore country or like what kind of country were you playing?
I would do a lot of country, but I would do, whatever was in the top 40, some soft pop or whatever was, I would do all of it really, but mostly country.
And it was just you on acoustic?
Just me on acoustic.
Wow. That's amazing.
I've been doing that. I can't even remember hardly not doing that.
That's fantastic. Just goes to show you, a lot of people have excuses about why they can't do stuff. You're operating out of Dublin, Georgia, and you're getting gigs all over the place. I mean, come on,
Yeah.
right? You know what I'm saying? Really?
In
Okay,
fact,
so
when
yeah,
I got a little older, uh, I had to schedule time off. I was so busy, after I graduated high school and was really
after I
playing.
graduated high school.
Yeah,
That's great. That's
yeah.
fantastic. Wow. So let's say after high school, what were some of the challenges like as far as getting things moving and growing now as a musician, as an artist?
You mean now?
No, back then, once you got your career, as you started, blossoming, let's say after high school, I'm assuming after high school, you said, hey, this is what I'm going to do. I want to play.
Well, the second thing that I always wanted to be in was the medical field.
Oh,
And so I got a kind of a scholarship type thing to start lab technician school because I always loved that kind of thing and anything to do with medical. And so I was a week away from starting school. And I played one of these little pageants, and the chief of police in our hometown, who I didn't know at the time, called our local radio station that was owned by a guy that owned a record label. And in a week's time, he had signed me to a label, and I started recording country records. And
wow.
I'd say in the next few months. So there went my lab technician school. I had a choice to make right there. But after that, I just started getting busier and busier.
Wow.
And
It's really cool that all these people sort of like almost shepherded you into what you're doing here for your whole life. It's pretty cool.
yeah, they did really.
Yeah.
So
Amazing.
it's been a ride, I tell you.
Hey, I want to talk about a few of my favorite EG Kight songs. So coming down with the blues off A New Day. It's a beautiful, soulful blues, and I think it's A minor, and you wrote that with Tom Horner. Tell me about that track.
That's one of my favorite songs that I've written. Uh,
Oh, really? It's
yeah,
a
it really
great
is.
song. Beautiful.
And that vocal you hear on there is the first take. Uh, that song came about when I had a cold, and I was sniffing. And I looked at Mom. I said, I am coming down with a cold. And then I thought a minute. I thought, I'm coming down with the blues. So I ran in here in my office, and I called Tom Horner, my co-writer who's written so many songs with me. And I said, I just got an idea. And do you know that we wrote that song probably less than 30 minutes? We had it done. And it's one of my favorite songs that I've written.
It's such a pretty song. It's really. Why is it one of your favorites? Because of the way it came up, or?
Yeah, I love ballads. And I
Yeah.
love ballads when they're in minor keys.
Me too.
It
Yeah.
gives it a haunting effect. I don't know. Just something about that song and that track. That was my band at that time when I had more band members, and they just killed it.
Do you do that do you still play that song when you're out playing on the road?
We play it sometimes with the trio, occasionally.
Yeah.
Not as much as I used to with the full band, but I get requests for it from time to time.
Well, I'll be requesting it when you come down to Florida next time. I promise
Okay.
you that.
Okay.
Off the new record, Sticks and Strings, All Things Considered. Again, another really pretty song. Again, you and Tom Horner. And what I liked about it has like that cool sort of like a Spanish guitar riff in the background. And I think it's about a breakup, maybe?
Yeah. Yeah, it's about a breakup. It's about a woman who's thinking about she wishes this could have happened, but it's not going to in this life, she says. It's not going to happen, but she's yearning for it, I guess you'd say. And all things considered, I guess she's doing okay, but she's really not.
I know the records. Well, let me ask you about the next track because it's also from Sticks and Strings. My baby's hiding something. And here's my comments. Any truth to the lyrics in this one? Was your baby hiding something?
Well, the older you get and the more life you live, that's going to happen to you. And you have to put it in an uplifting way, make people smile.
Yeah. It's a lovely track. Are any of those so the new album's doing really well. Are any of those two tracks sort of do you have any idea what's leading the pack on that, or how does that work?
What's leading the pack?
On the record, which tracks are is there any tracks that are carrying it more, or?
Those two have been really good, and there's one called Talk to Me that's done real well. And If You Have No Reservations, that one done
great.
Well.
Yeah, well, they're pretty songs. I read in your bio that you mentioned songwriting's always come really easy to you. And why do you think that is? Because it's not for most people.
Well, songwriting is a story. Mostly what I write is about relationships. And if you live life or you listen to people, my people confide in me all the time. Sometimes I think when I perform, when I take a break or at the end of the night, I feel like they think that I'm a psychologist, psychiatrist or something. They confide in me a lot, and I appreciate that they feel that comfortable with me.
Sure.
But or if you read the news or watch TV or whatever you do, you get influenced by some story or relationship. And mine started with a breakup when I was a teenager, where my best friend took my boyfriend away from me, and it like to kill me. And that's where my first song was born. And I ran into him a while back at Walmart, and
you're kidding. That's so funny.
And I wanted to just run up to him and hug his neck and say, "Son, you started something good." Thank you so much for that heartbreak.
Yeah, right.
Because you really started me to songwriting. But it's just, to me, it's just like telling a story. And doodling on the guitar sometimes, I come up with a cool riff or something, or just a cool melody, and I think, and it's just pretty easy, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I like how your attitude is about it. It's a lot of fun. I think if you're approaching stuff, or if you do have fun with it, and it's not like wrestling an alligator to write a song, you are more apt to write easier. That makes a lot of sense. Also, sounds like you're a very good listener, which I think helps a lot.
Yeah, you have to be a good listener to hear these things going on. You just never know where you get a little line that my phone on the notes on my phone is just full of ideas. Maybe I heard somebody say something, or somebody said something on a TV show, and I write it down real quick. But it's great that I have a co-writer, Tom Horner, that he and I think a lot alike, and our chemistry is just so good when we get together. We always come up with a song. So if I hear something good or have an idea, all I have to do is shoot him an email or call him, and we usually come up with a song. But yeah, you get it from everyday life, what we all go through.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So you grew up in Dublin, Georgia, not Dublin, Ireland. What was your childhood like growing up there? This is a new project I'm involved with, so check it out if it sounds interesting to you and let me know what you think. Attention musicians, composers, artists, and songwriters. If you have a burning desire to get involved with the current explosion of opportunities in music licensing and take your income to the next level, then you must listen to this. A new free training video has just been released, which shows you how to make your first placement in music licensing, or if you've already made some placements, but you don't have a specific system to make more placements more consistently, you'll learn how to do this as well. This free video training is called Where the Money's Hiding in the Music Business in 2023, and you can find it online at musicreboot.com. This video shows you how to create the financial stability you've always wanted and how to take advantage of the current explosion of opportunities in music licensing due to streaming and the internet. So check it out online now at musicreboot.com.
I live way out in the country, My grandfather was a minister, and my parents worked, and my grandma kept me every day. And my mother sang gospel. She was offered a contract in gospel when I was an infant and turned it down. My grandma was a musician, and so my childhood was musically inclined, I guess you'd say. I was surrounded by farms and animals, and just brought up in really a good Southern country life.
Yeah.
Really good Christian home, and it was just really good.
I think being around nature like that is so. I mean, I grew up in New York City. I was never around nature, but now that I'm not that Florida, where I'm living, we're in Tampa. It's not like the country at all, but I just love seeing like squirrels and I find it, and we have a bunch of cats, and I don't know. It's just something about being around animals that, for me
Yeah.
anyway, it's just so pure and so peaceful, and they're nice, that's like, it's like the opposite of Facebook. You go watch where animals hang out,
Oh yeah.
I
It's
wish people
peaceful.
could be so peaceful. It's
I
so
know.
calming. Yeah, I really
I
dig
have
that.
I have this pond that I go to that's out with surrounded by pine trees, and it is just beautiful. That's my church.
Yeah, I
So,
believe that.
I just have to have that nature. I was brought up with it, and I still crave it. And that's
Yeah,
one of the first things I want to do is go to that pond when I come home.
yeah, that's great. Question for you. People are often attracted to the blues because they have some pain or emotions, and blues is such a healing music. I was curious, is there anything in particular you're healing through playing blues?
Well, I think with the blues, you heal. It's according to how you feel in any particular day. I mean, it can be if you're sad, you want to listen to blues and it'll uplift you. If you're happy, you want to listen to blues and it'll uplift you. It's whatever emotion you're going through on a daily basis. I think the blues, to me, the blues helps you either way you want to go there. It can be funny, it can be sad, it can be heart wrenching, but it always, to me, lifts you up.
Me too. I'm a blues guy. I love listening to blues all the time. All right, so this is like some crazy stuff. You have two adventures. Well, I guess you didn't consider them adventures at the time. In early 2011, you thought you might have had a stroke or a TIA, but it turns out you had meningitis and encephalitis at the same time. And since these are viral infections, not bacterial, there was no medication available, and you basically had to let these conditions run their course through your body. You wound up recovering later on that year, but with some pretty significant setbacks. I would
Mm-hmm.
love to hear you talk about that experience, especially or specifically the most challenging aspects of your recovery, because that's
That
heavy
was a,
stuff.
that was a life-changing thing. It was heavy. They think that I probably got it from a mosquito bite, but it was life-changing. I had to kind of relearn how to do a lot of things. Uh, it was a lot of recovery time there, but it's something you never over. I still suffer from it, and probably always will, because what it does, it kills brain cells off from the infection in your brain. But uh, it's been a triumph to get where I can write again, play music again, and do everything again. Whereas a lot of people who have had that same thing can't do things. So I've been extremely blessed.
Hmm.
But it was a struggle. I had to, when I came home from the hospital, I would look at my guitar and I'd think, well, I used to do something with that, but I can't remember how I did it.
Oh my God!
What I
Wow.
did, and I had to, kind of learn to kind of walk, and talking was a problem because you could think of the words, but they wouldn't come out. You knew them in your
Yeah.
head, but they wouldn't come out. But it took a lot of time, and like I said, it's something that you never completely over. It's not something that can be like the flu or something, get over it.
Yeah.
It's still, it will be with me probably for the rest of my life, for sure. You know, like I have problems with fatigue. Sometimes I'll start to do a song and I just blank out, cannot think of how it goes, the lyrics. So I keep my lyrics somewhere. People probably think, why does she have her lyrics? Well, that's why. It's my safety blanket over there. I know they're over there. So if I blank out, I got it. But overall, I'm doing real well. So much better than a lot of people who have had encephalitis. In fact, there was a neurologist from Johns Hopkins who used to call and interview me because he was doing research on encephalitis. And he said, EG, you're doing better than anybody I know. And he said, what I'm learning is that the ones that are doing better, like you, have a deep passion for something. And most of the time, it's music. So I think music is just such a healer. It's just a healer for everything that ails you, as B.B. King said.
Wow. What did you learn anything from that experience?
Yes. I learned to take every day and appreciate it. And I learned how happy I am to make music again and how I just look at life in a different way. You just got to enjoy it and don't look at the downside. Look for the good in things.
Yeah.
And it taught me you can get through things and flourish with it. I have.
Yeah. It's so important to look for the good because it's easy to look for the bad or like get bothered.
Yeah, everybody wants to look at the bad and everything.
Yeah.
But when you're going through a hard time, just keep the faith and you can get through it.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with you. That's great. And as if that wasn't enough, I couldn't believe this when I read all this stuff. I was really like, holy smokes. And you're a tiny little woman. I mean, you look like a tiny little woman.
I'm not that tiny. I do like to eat. I'm a Southerner.
But it's a lot for someone to go through, whoever, regardless. But this another scary incident occurred. So you're walking on your property about a half mile from your house. Out of nowhere, you get attacked by 3 pit bulls. And they're really having their way with you there. And obviously that left you in bad shape for several months. But your experience and how you wound up surviving this and the kind of the grace that you maintained through that, I thought was pretty fascinating. I'd love if you could share that story if you're comfortable.
Yeah, I went to walk. You know, I've walked on this road out here probably 40-something, 50 years. I'd come home from the road and was walking where like I say, I've walked this same place for years and years, all my life nearly. And yeah, I had got to my the end of where I turn around and come back, and these dogs just showed up. It was a neighbor down the road's dogs. They were just roaming free, and one bit me. And I've always learned that they had barked at me before when I'd go through there. This one particular, and I've learned that if you don't look at them in the face, a lot of times they'll leave you alone if you don't pay them any attention. So I'm not looking at them, you know. And then another one came up, and then another one came up. Well, when that happened, they were having a party with me. They just started eating me up. Well, they bit me about 14 times. And they took one of my tennis shoes off, one of my running shoes off, and knocked me down. And I had a choice to make. I thought, well, I'm either going to run with one shoe on, and I knew I wasn't going to get too far with that, or I'm going to have to sit down here and be right with them face to face. And as clear as I can say, something said, be still. And when it did, I just sat down with those dogs, and I was bleeding, and they got right in front of my face and would show me their teeth and growl and bark in my face, but they never touched me again. And so me and the good Lord was having some good talks about that time.
Wow. I just got goosebumps.
Well, I went and had Be Still. It's right under, I don't know if you can see it, right on my arm. I had it tattooed. And
I saw it on one of your photos.
Yeah, that's where that came from. And it's a daily reminder. Every time I look at it, I think, that probably saved my life. But those dogs never touched me. They could have finished me off just like that. They could have got my face. They could have got behind my head. And eventually a neighbor came by and got me, they'd pushed me down in a ditch. And a neighbor came by and rescued me. It was a godsend, I tell you.
Whatever happened with the dogs? Were they like put down or?
Well, they supposedly were put down. I don't know.
Mhm.
They hadn't, it was just a really hard struggle, and I still suffer from that. I have problems with my legs where they did so much damage every day.
God, that's so scary.
Put down, but I'm just not sure. But they said that the county said they put them down, so I don't know.
Wow,
But I
that
had
is so
everybody
scary.
out here. Everybody, the ambulances was out here. The TV stations were out here. The yard was full of folks. But I got through that too. So I'm still making music and doing fine.
Do you still walk that same path?
No, I can't walk that far anymore because of what they done to me. But I don't walk around that area. I have a little PTSD from that.
Yeah, I can't blame you a little.
Yeah. So I don't walk down there anymore. So that changed my course. I can just walk a little, not too far, but I'm just proud I can walk.
Yeah, right. I feel you on that. Wow. So which of your personality traits do you feel have contributed to your success? And when I say success, I don't just mean your career, like your success in being able to overcome these things. Because that's
faith.
not, you think, okay.
Oh, my faith and my sense of humor.
So somebody said something, a guest on my show one time said, take what you do seriously, but don't take yourself too seriously. And I really like that.
No, you can't take yourself too seriously. No, Lord, it would drive you crazy. No.
Yeah. Hey, I want to talk about switch gears, and thanks for sharing all that. That was
I didn't mind doing that. It's these are stories of triumph. Going through things and being able to keep going, and really it gives you a new zest or something on life when you go through these trying times. But I think it makes you a stronger person. It makes you think about other people differently and feel for them more when you've been through something. So it's a curse and a blessing, I guess you'd say.
Yes, I would agree with that. Yeah, It does make you stronger for sure. I want to talk about your gear for a minute. What is your go-to guitar, and what other two guitars round out your top three?
Well, I have been kind of an endorsee, one of the artists for Taylor guitars for many years. And
deal with Tim?
I've dealt with Tim. I used to deal with Robin and Bob through the years.
Tim's a great guy.
The latest one that I've had probably since 2017, they sent me a mini Koa, GS Mini. It's a Koa.
Yep.
And it was, I got it primarily to be able to fit in the overheads on the planes because it's shorter and smaller. But gosh, I have not put that thing down since I got it. It is wonderful. And in the trio, we don't have a bass player, so it has a really good low end. And it just fits perfectly with the trio. But the other ones that I have that have meant a lot to me is a Stratocaster I have that's a red sparkle.
That's a beautiful guitar. I've seen that. Yeah, tell me about that.
That guitar I bought with some royalty money that I had got from writing songs for Koko. So it is very special, and I play it, when I was doing all my electric gigs. And I have another Fender that I bought right out of high school. It's an old Fender Telecaster thin line.
Yeah, You have a sticker on. You have a cool. What's the sticker you got on there?
Elvis.
Yeah, right. I
Big,
remember. I saw
huge,
that.
huge Elvis fan. In fact, I got to see him 4 times live.
You got to see him?
Yes, 4 times.
Where? Where?
He would come to Macon, Georgia. He came 4 times, and my uncle took me to see him. And he was just that was it with me, Elvis.
What made you get that guitar, the thin line? It's not a very common guitar.
I just love the sound of it. You can make it sound more mellow than a regular Telecaster, I think, and I just love it. Always have. But
it suits you. The photos of you with that guitar, it really suits you and it suits your music.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool to see that.
I love that thing.
EG, do you have like a worst gig ever story?
Oh boy. I won't call the name of the town, but it was in Georgia. I went in to play a solo gig one night, and they sat me in front of an air conditioning unit and a window unit.
Mm-hmm.
And there was something wrong with it. And I had my lyrics over here that I had handwritten on a stand, and it was shooting out ice cubes. And it got my hair wet. And I looked over there, my lyrics was just all faded and just running down. And I looked over there, and the owner of the place was this woman who had on some high cowboy boots, white cowboy boots that come way up high, with a cigarette that was about that long. And I looked, and a roach bug just walked out right in front of me. He was about that long. He walked out, and she said, "Don't worry about it. I'll get it." And she took her cowboy boot, and it was on a concrete floor. And she hit that thing, and it sounded like a firecracker went off.
Oh,
and then
gross.
she just took it, and she just drug it with her foot all the way out. And then I looked up there in the ceiling, and you know when you buy Christmas lights, they wrapped around in styrofoam.
Sure.
You know, when you get them out, used to, they'd be wrapped around in styrofoam.
Yeah.
Well, they had put the styrofoam and everything.
This is some hillbilly stuff, man. This is like something you see in a movie.
Well,
right?
it was.
Especially with the woman with the cigarette with the boots. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. She had that long cigarette. She's got that roach bug and just dragging it out there. But you know what? One of my best friends booked that gig for me, and I thought, I'm going to kill him when I get through this. But then it turned out to be one of the best stories ever. I've talked about it for years.
That's a good story. Oh, my God. Tell me your top Desert Island discs, the top 3 records, just the ones like for now, because I know that changes for all of us all the time.
Well, I've been thinking about that. I was trying to think what my top 3. People ask me that a lot, and I would say Bonnie Raitt's "Nick of Time."
Great record.
And then probably Carole King, "Tapestry."
Another great record.
And then the other one, I don't know. It would be a toss-up between Koko Taylor, "Queen of the Blues." That's the one that turned my life around.
Great. And I'm going to have to check that record out.
Oh, yeah, the Queen of the Blues. And Willie Nelson's "Stardust." And Eva Cassidy's "Songbird." Oh, I love that.
Man, what a voice. That woman was amazing, wasn't she?
Oh, my goodness. She almost made me wreck a van when I first heard her.
Yeah. Incredibly talented woman. She had a pretty tragic life, I think, right? Did she die young with cancer or something like that?
What a talent.
Incredible, yeah. All right, I want to talk about something that's near and dear to your heart, your goats. I know you raise them and they're special to you. You wrote a child's book about them, and the book talks about things you've learned from them. I'd love to hear you share some of these things. And just how did you get into the whole thing with the goats?
Oh,
now, now listen. Now you got to realize I'm from the Bronx. So this is really we're foreign territory. None of my neighbors had goats.
well, I'm sure you wasn't around goats growing up.
No, although I love goats, but I've never. No, this is like foreign to me.
Oh, that's my babies. Um, I had some pet goats when I was young, maybe 10 or 12 years old, and loved them. And then I guess it was back in 2004 or 5. My great uncle, who was a big farmer around here, who helped raise me too out here in the country, he said, "Sugar, why don't we just get us some goats and make some extra money?" I said, okay, let's do that. Well, the problem with that is I couldn't get rid of any of them. I get too attached to stuff. But that's what started me back with goats. And so they're just something about them that's just a calming effect with me and stress reliever. They are great stress relievers. So that's how it came about. And I've had them, probably I've had them again since probably 2004.
That's almost 20 years. How long do
Yeah,
goats live?
about like a dog.
Okay.
Now I have one now that's 16,
Wow.
and I have one that's 11. So, I try to take really good care of them.
Yeah. Sure.
But they live about like a dog or cat, probably more a dog.
So tell me what you've learned from them. Like,
Well, I didn't know if you saw this, but I've learned a lot of things from goats, like be a good listener. Can you see that picture?
I can't through it's cloudy, so I can't.
Is it cloudy?
But
Be a
the
good listener?
but once it's aired, people will be able to see it for sure.
Okay. Hey, look at this one. Don't be ugly. Just I don't know. It's just a big. Be yourself. You're special.
Yeah.
It's just a lot of things. I think give thanks.
Yeah.
But let me show you. Let me show you one you'll like. Let me see if I can find it. This one's good. When it's all said and done, life is good.
Yeah.
But there was one I was going to show you if I can find it.
I know what you mean about that. It's hard to let them go because my wife is like rescues cats.
We'll see.
And so we've rescued some cats, right? So we're supposed to be fostering them.
Yeah, you can't really get rid of them, can you?
And they're all foster fails. Not on her, on me, because I like, and the worst thing is you give them a name.
Oh, yeah.
And then it's like, how can you get rid of Hazel? You can't. So I get that totally. Yeah. Cause they're endearing. Like, we talk, animals are just.
Yes.
Yeah.
Look at this one. It says, sing with feeling, even if nobody's listening.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah. It's hard to get rid of them. And when I'm forced to have to get rid of some, which is very seldom, then I keep up with them. I'm really particular. I'm really funny about who gets them, what home they're gonna have, and then I keep up with them.
That's cool. That's cool. EG, what are the biggest risks you've taken, both personally and professionally?
The biggest risk, or would that be like choices, or?
Yeah, choices you've made or things you've had to do. I mean, but look, being an artist is a risk itself. That's a pretty big risk.
It is. Biggest risk, well, I guess choices would be to choose music over marriage, or because I always wanted children, but it was always a choice whether I wanted to be be at home and be married, or be a musician, professional singer. So that was really a hard choice
Yeah.
and risk. Yeah.
Thank you. That is a tough one. And I a lot of my guests have had a very similar response to that. To not choose to not have a family the way they maybe had envisioned themselves so they can their career. Yeah. Here's a tough one. What do you like most about yourself?
Lord have mercy. Probably my sense of humor. Oh, I like to have fun. And my faith.
Yeah, that's what it's about.
That's probably the one I love the most is my faith.
Tell me your best childhood memory. It sounds like you had a real good childhood.
Oh, I had a good childhood. I have a lot of good childhood memories. My grandmother, like I talked about earlier, that kept me from my parents to work. There was a path between our house and hers, and it wasn't very far with her and my granddaddy. And you could see me at any given day dragging a guitar that was too big for me to carry, and a doll in one hand and a guitar on that path, and Grandma kept me and she taught me, started teaching me some chords, or we listened to music. So that was probably my best childhood memories.
That's sweet. What kind of music did she, because you said she got offered didn't you say she got offered a record contract
That was Mama.
Oh, because she sang gospel.
She sang gospel.
And she was offered a record contract.
Stuff with a trio, and they did a lot of radio stuff and shows at our local VA hospital. And so she was pretty popular back then.
That's pretty amazing coming from that little small town like that.
And her brother, so
impressive.
Her brother, my Uncle Jimmy, he gave me my first guitar, and he had rock and roll bands for years and years. And I sang with him in some of his bands. So they would rehearse at Grandma's, and I would just sit in the floor and just be in awe of all that going on. And I knew at that point, that's what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
So I was actually just brought up in it.
Yeah. That's wonderful. Tell me something about yourself, EG, that people might be surprised to hear or even find a little odd, besides the goat thing.
Besides the goat thing? They might be surprised to learn that I was a vocal instructor for Burgess Meredith in a movie.
Wow.
They might be surprised.
That's pretty cool.
That I sang, I used to sing a little bit of Dixieland jazz, even sang with Pete Fountain's band. So that's some odd stuff.
Very cool. Yeah. How did you get to be a vocal instructor for Burgess Meredith? For people listening, if you're not a baby boomer or you never watched the Batman or the Penguin or Rocky, Burgess Meredith was a very good actor back in the day. Very successful as well. Good character actor. That's pretty unusual. How did that come about?
Well, I was, he was part of a movie that was being made in Macon, Georgia. And I was singing at the Hilton at the time during the dinner time period. And I had a manager back then, and believe it or not, his name was EG. And he was helping me do locations. And so what happened was the director had a vocal instructor coming in because he had a singing part. He and Gloria Graham, she was in the original Oklahoma. They had a singing part in a scene that was going to be filmed the next day, and the vocal instructor didn't show up in New York. So they came to me while I was performing, and let me say this, that I had an actual little scene in the movie, and I had a talking scene with Burgess.
What was the name of the movie?
It was called Mr. Griffith and Me. It was a movie made for TV. But they came to me at 11 o'clock one night and said, the vocal instructor can't make it tomorrow. Can you do it? And the song they wanted me to do was one I'd never heard before. So there was a fan of mine sitting in the audience that overheard the conversation. And he said, "Come here, EG." And he started singing the song over and over to me in my ear about 15 times. The next morning, they picked me up, and I had that song down. And Mr. Burgess would say, "Miss Kight, did I do that right?" I'd say, "Yes, sir. That's good, Mr. Burgess. That's good."
Wow, that's an unusual. That's a first. I haven't heard anything like that. That's really cool.
It was real cool.
What was it like being in a movie?
I went out to dinner with him, and me and some of the other people, and I got to, kind of be friends with him through all this.
What was it like in being in a movie set? I've never even seen something like that.
It's a lot of wait time. It's you sit and wait, but it was really cool. It was really cool to be a part of it and see how, it's really good to be back behind the scenes to see how a movie is actually made.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting. Hey, tell me the most important thing your dad taught you.
My daddy? To wheel and deal.
Hey, that's a vital skill.
He was so funny. A sense of humor. He had such a sense of humor. A lot of people think that when I get to carrying on, they'll say, "You act just like Gene Kight." Well, in perseverance, he was really one that pushed me to sing, to go where I had to go to sing, to do what I needed to do to make my career, period.
Yeah.
To do what I needed to do. I lost him when he was 49.
Oh, I'm so sorry. That's very young.
Yeah, he just, he would say, "You got to keep on singing. You do this." Or Mama would say, "Oh, baby, get you a job and stay home and be with us." Daddy'd say, you go do what you need to do right now. I'm behind you." And Mama wanted me to do good, but she wanted me to stay home at the same time.
Wow, she's probably afraid. Moms are.
Yeah. She just, wanted me to be around, and she keep it, we're real close. I still have her. And
Great.
It was just, I learned that from him, I think. That determination to do it.
That's the number one trait that successful artists have in common, at least from the, I've had a good, 900 and something guests here. That's the number one thing that they all have in common. They had support from their parents.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
How about your mama? What's the most important thing she taught you?
Oh, Mama, she teaches me every day. But probably the most important thing is unconditional love. She has shown me that. She is wonderful.
That's great. I'm so happy for you for that. That's wonderful. Besides goats, do you have any other hobbies or interests outside of music?
Yeah, I love photography.
What kind?
Oh, well, I do all kind of stuff. I like to set up old blues scenes. I like old guitars and harps, and I do a lot of photography with that kind of thing. And goats. A lot of the photographs in the book are my photographs that I've taken of the goats through the years. Just old. I liked a lot of old timey stuff.
I like photography too.
I have this old building that my great granddaddy built. It's about to fall down. It's near the pond I was talking about earlier.
Yeah.
And I have taken so many pictures in there and set up scenes and do them mostly in black and white, the old timey scenes, and it's just perfect for that.
Yeah. Yeah, photography's great. Tell me the best advice you've ever been given, and who gave it to you, EG?
Lord, I've been given a lot of advice through the years. I'm always getting advice from somebody about something. But probably one of the things that has stayed with me was my granddaddy. What he told me one time, he said, "Always hold that last note out and leave a sweet taste in your mouth."
That's like really good advice. And the most important lesson life has taught you in general.
To not take, like we talked about earlier, to live every day to its fullest and be so appreciative of that day, be blessed to have that day, and that to know that you can get through things, and just do the best you can and follow your heart and try to find something to do that you really love to enjoy every day. To be kind.
Hey, that's a really beautiful way to end this. And I just want to thank you for everything, and thank you so much. And I want to tell people to please check out EG Kight's new album. It's called Sticks and Strings, and EG Kight, it's Kight. And again, the record opened, it was just released in September, opened at number 10 in Billboard. It's doing really well in the blues charts. And you can also please go to her website, egkight.com. Her touring schedule's on there. She just finished a very lengthy tour, but she's going to be back out next year in 2024. And follow her on Facebook under EG Kight Arts and Entertainment, and on her Instagram account. And is there anything else I can promote for you? You're lovely. You're just a really nice person to talk with you. I feel better just talking to you, man. Honestly, I'm like, wow, this is great.
You feel better talking to me?
Whatever you download. Yeah, man, you just downloaded a bunch of good stuff. I'm like, my day is good now. I'll be raring the rest of the day.
I'm so glad.
Yeah, I mean that.
Makes you feel good.
Yeah, I mean that. Thank you.
Well,
You've made me feel good.
Just
any other secrets? Tell me.
Well, any other secrets? No, I don't think I think I've given you all my secrets. I think I've told you.
No, you have.
I think I kind of opened up my heart to you, didn't I?
You did. You're very sweet. You're a very kind person, and I appreciate that. Remember, you said that, like, I appreciate when you said you appreciate when, you're playing and your fans come and share stories with you. I can't tell you how grateful I am when people come on here and share stuff with me. I mean, I don't take any of that for granted. And it, like, I often wonder, like, I feel like it's a gift people give me, to tell you the 100% truth. And so, and I don't know how or why it happens, but I'm just really grateful that it happens,
Well, Craig, you know how to approach people to get it out of them, to make them talk about themselves. You have an art about that yourself, the questions you ask.
Well, thanks. Thank you so much.
And I can't wait to meet you.
When you come down here, I'll be in line. I promise you.
Okay.
Hang on 1 second. Let me just wrap this up. Again, everybody, please check out EG Kight. Please check out the new record. Stream it. Sticks and Strings. It's doing great. And follow her on Facebook and Instagram, and go to her website, egkight.com, and check her out when she comes through your town. She tours a lot, and she tours with her trio. They record live, old school, and they play live, old school, just like music was meant to be played. So everybody, thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed it, please share this on your socials with your friends. I want to thank EG Kight very much for her time, and I wish you nothing but the best, because you deserve it. And again, hold on a minute. And most important, remember that happiness is a choice, so choose wisely. Be nice, have fun, go play your guitar, and we'll see you soon. Peace and love, everybody. I am out.